Reporting.
Welcome back, Commander.
Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Waiting orders. Very well. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
This is another level that I particularly enjoy. I really liked the last one too, the whole top of the world, your units will freeze and all that. I just feel like there's a little bit of missed opportunity. But it doesn't detract from the mission actually being nice.
At once. Vehicle report. Affirmative.
This one follows the same steps, although not in the same exact way. While the last mission had a global timer and a trigger associated with it, namely being the automatic death of certain units, this one has a global change to it, but not one that you might think.
Reporting, sir. Yes, sir.
Or not ones you might think. It actually leads to a lot of experimentation, which I think is fun. But it's not something you can do a lot because, let's face it, you do the gimmick once and then you can't really do it much further.
Acknowledged. Vehicle acknowledged.
If it's not entirely obvious, there's a couple changes, important ones, to units we're rather familiar with.
Reporting. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Vehicle report. Reporting. Affirmative.
The first being that, Grenadiers don't seem to be all that changed. Infantry certainly aren't, but a light tank appears to fire as a heavy tank, and a medium tank has a vastly increased attack speed. One you kinda don't want to mess with.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
And that's kind of what happens when you explore and you don't really know what to expect. It's one of those things where I just figured I'd lost so much time exploring, quote unquote, that if the Allies were preparing to do something, say with light tanks that shoot as heavy tanks and medium tanks that shoot like infantry, you might want to restart just in case to get you that extra breathing room.
Yes, sir. At once.
Sadly, there's no large cash reserve for us either, so you kind of have to deal with a limited amount of money before you can, ever attempt to get a nice defensive force going.
Affirmative.
Construction complete. Construction options. Building. Construction complete. Construction options. Building.
Report agreed. Very well. Ready and waiting. Yes, sir. At once.
So this is the point where I'm trying to figure out, okay, what exactly has changed?
Affirmative.
It doesn't seem like the Grenadier has anything notable, although if I remember correctly, there's something about the splash damage being changed.
Construction.
Honestly, it's not something that's altogether all that great or memorable. And besides, considering what you're up against vis-a-vis the light tanks and medium tanks, it's probably not something you want to invest a lot of money into anyways.
Unit lost.
I know it was a little paranoid, but I kinda wanted to make sure the dogs weren't nuclear. Like, the devs would never think about that, because that's just too silly. But, you make a crazy video about it, and next thing you know, you're just open to whatever possibilities.
Sufficient funds. Construction complete.
It doesn't seem, at first sight anyways, that Allied ships are affected, so that's probably a good thing. You know, probably don't have to worry about cruisers off the coast that are just shelling us with nukes. Again, like I've seen somebody else do. Well, on the good side, it doesn't seem like rocket infantry are all that affected either, so that's nice. It doesn't look like it from the speed of the footage, but I'm pretty sure the sound tipped you off. The heavy tank is actually a Tesla tank now. Sadly, we don't have a Tesla tank to see how it differed, but, you know, small favors. Oh, and V2s are nukes now. Sadly, it means that they're one-shot weapons, as the range seems to be incredibly short. The other problem with it is that the vehicle has to actually shoot, so if you send it towards the enemy and it happens to not do that, you're in a bit of a pickle. Well, I guess not really, but you did waste a $700 investment for no gain, so, you know. This is a part that kind of really annoyed me, because for the life of me, I knew, like, way before the video was shown for, what was the mission, Allied mission name? The one with the 4 nukes that you go underground. Somebody had shown a speedrun video, thanks for that, by the way, it was really cool. Basically detailing that you could destroy singular trees to get to the rear of the base, which I thought was super cool. And for the life of me, I knew you could destroy that dang tree, but I couldn't get it to actually die. So I think it's one of those things where I approached it with a flamethrower, and maybe I just needed a tank. Maybe there's something about it. I don't know. I burned it, and then it didn't seem to do anything else, so I don't know, I kind of gave up at that point. I was hoping that the triple tree sprite, or doodad, or whatever, would, you know, ignite, and then I'd work off that, but it didn't work. So, yeah, if you happen to play this level, you kind of want to do that, because it really shortens the travel time of, you know, all your ore trucks. And just in case you might have missed it, dear viewer, the Mammoth tank now sports a double flamethrower shot, which means the Mammoth tank is supremely terrible in this instance. You kind of only want to build heavy tanks because, I mean, Tesla coils. Flamethrowers just aren't that great. Sure, they're great against, like, buildings and maybe some soft targets, but if you have Tesla coil power, you know, flamethrowers just don't compare, really. On the plus side, at least the Mammoth tank still has its healing ability. Oh, and it still has its rockets, so it can still do stuff versus air units, but again, it's not all that great. Sadly for us, that's really the only major changes that this level has. It just kind of sucks because it'd be nice if the Soviets had more to play with. Instead, it just seems like the changes are limited to, you know, 3 vehicles, and that's about it. The Allies at least have their own 3 vehicles so far that we've seen, and I guess it's fair for both sides. But, the artillery having the range of a cruiser was kind of funny to me. It kind of makes you stop and think and go, hey, wait, no, that actually makes sense for artillery. They should be shooting from very far away.
Unit ready.
It just doesn't really make too much sense in a gameplay sense because, well, if they always had that range, you'd never be able to stop them. It's also odd because, as we've just seen, the Mammoth tank still uses its rockets against ground targets. Sometimes. So there's something in its behavior that will sometimes have it shoot rockets at units, ground or otherwise, and sometimes divert to flamethrower shots. I'm not quite sure what determines what each shot will be, so we'll just live with whatever we got, really.
Unit ready. Building. Building. Insufficient funds.
I kind of wish we had the option for air power here, but I guess there's something in the air that prevents planes from flying. Or maybe the mutations to planes are just too great.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Yeah, light tanks seem to do quite a bit of damage too, which really sucks.
On hold.
Basically, it kind of makes the light tank like the best tank available. It's cheaper, nothing. I don't think any of the costs are changed. It's literally just, Mammoth tank normally costs like 1,300 or whatever. It still costs 1,300, but it's much worse because it doesn't do anything it normally does. A light tank presumably still keeps the same price, but now has the striking power of a vehicle 2 tiers above it. I say tiers just because I mean medium and then heavy, but whatever. Point is that for the price and for what you get, I kind of wish I was playing the Allies right now. Or maybe had captured one of their buildings. It's pretty nice that we actually have the ability to build MCVs, though. You don't normally see that in such missions. We'll be able to put that to use when, well, we want to shorten whatever time it takes for our ore trucks to get funds. Considering we're fairly low at the moment.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Sure, maybe it's not the best idea to build an MCV and a refinery at the same time, but,
Acknowledged.
you know, I need the cash.
Sir. Affirmative.
Figure it's easier to set up that way.
I'm present.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Waiting. Affirmative. Waiting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Waiting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
That's like the only problem with these missions is that you kind of have to speed up when you're demonstrating them. It's not that they suck or anything. They offer a nice challenge. The fact that all the units are changed, so you kind of have to change your build orders and your structures. Did the heavy tank have a $1,500 price? I guess unit costs are different. Anyways, it's nice that there's actually that change. It, it switches things up enough that it makes it rather enjoyable to try out, things rather than just say, oh, I know that attack dog does this every time and so on. But at the same time, being challenging does mean that it takes forever for certain missions to, end. And yeah, I was really hoping a nuke would just cut that bridge so that I, eliminate a way for the AI to get money. Yeah, so the Allies aren't fucking around here. They, they really want you to die. And if you don't have units, if you don't have any defenses set up, you're kind of screwed. So, be careful. Once you get enough ore trucks set up, you're kind of good. Especially if you can pull off the whole send a V2 launcher and make sure it's invulnerable, and you can kind of muscle your way through whatever defenses they have. And of course, since I'm given the opportunity, why not capture the Allied construction yard and see what exactly I can do? I'm only really building a tech center because, Tanya is kind of fun to have, but it's more so I can get the satellite. And, yeah, sadly, Tanya doesn't seem to be changed. I kind of wish that wasn't true. It'd be nice if she happened to sprout, I don't know, flame balls or missiles or something else. It also doesn't appear that subs have changed in any way. And the same applies to the cruiser and destroyer. They just seem to be the same way as they've always been. Now, this kind of messed with me. Not the cruisers specifically, although I might cause a mission failure because of them. It seems that there's a Stavros on the map. Or at least that's his sprite. Or commonly his sprite, anyways. He seems also particularly resistant to any sort of cruiser fire, which is annoying. Oops. So, you know, be careful and just target fire the ground and let him do that for 12 years.
Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledge. Yes, sir.
I used to think that a Chronosphere that was flashing that way, like, would constantly drop HP. Like, it would just be like a draining thing, but no, I don't think that's 100% the case. I might be confusing it with the penultimate Soviet mission when the Allies are shooting at their own Chronosphere, which makes a lot more sense. Anyways, I don't trust Stavros, and I need a tank anyways to destroy the fence because Tanya can't do that and the engineer can't destroy it, so might as well just go whole hog and make sure I actually complete the mission. Seems that Stavros is his own Volkov, and thankfully we don't let him actually do much with that. Oh yeah, and it is possible to prevent a mission loss by loading just quickly enough. It's nice because, you know, if you don't, you have to hit restart, and then if there's a cutscene, you gotta skip it. And
Training.
it's all about efficiency.
Training. Unit ready.
It's also really annoying because it means that, you know, the heavy tank that I have is too powerful for a Chronosphere. The armor is just too light on it. So you kind of have to babysit rifle infantry, or I guess technically like rocket infantry might be fine as well, or grenadier or whatever. Point is that you have to babysit the Chronosphere so you can damage it just enough to get captured. I should probably just use 2 engineers, but shut up, I'm not smart like that. I didn't go to university for your highfalutin tactics.
Acknowledge. Vehicle reporting.
Silos needed. Building.
So let's try this again.
Waiting order.
Not quite sure why I'm building a heavy tank, just gives you something to do, I guess.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. Awaiting.
Man, wouldn't that suck if the cruisers just decided to auto-attack and missed horribly and destroyed the Chronosphere?
Affirmative.
That'd never happen.
Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Comrade. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Reporting once. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Mission saved. Silos.
This is because I don't trust the game. After all, we've tried capturing this thing once.
Mission accomplished.
Alright.